Welcome back for Season 3 of All Things Excellence, where women in leadership and business come to be challenged to learn and to grow. I'm your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, clarity coach, Enneagram guide, community builder, and your go-to girl for becoming the most excellent version of yourself. Here on All Things Excellence, we are obsessed with shining light on women who are doing the deep work and playing full out in the arena. We bring you their brilliance, their stories, and the magic they bring into the world. This season, I'm determined to step into the most powerful, profitable, peaceful, and aligned version of myself yet. So buckle up, because I'm bringing you with me. When one woman rises, we all get permission to rise as well. If you're ready to grow, rise, and step into your next level with effortless ease and love being surrounded by women who are doing the same, you're in the right place. Welcome to All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam, welcome back. Today we are talking about identities. I'm talking to the woman who wants her actions to change, but isn't sure how she can make herself do what she doesn't actually yet want to do. But you want to get there. Example, you want to be super fit, you want to be working out every day, but for some reason you just can't make yourself do it, or whatever it is that is. We want to talk about identities. So I'm going to talk to you all about a recent thing that happened at this retreat that I just ran. I just ran a retreat. If you're in my book club, you get exclusive invites to be able to come to my growth retreats. And we're there and we're sitting on the back patio. It's beautiful, y'all. Arizona, February, round fire table, high top fire table. Like, imagine it. We're all sitting around it. And there'd been a lot of conversations that were going on where I kept joking about, well, I identify as someone who really prioritizes her brain health. And it was from what I eat, how I sleep, how I work out, the fact that I don't drink alcohol. And at one point, this specific person had asked me, like, have you never drank? Did you used to drink? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, if you go deep on Facebook, honestly, you can find many photos where I absolutely got drunk with the best of them in college, and after, tequila was my best friend. So I'm not even gonna lie about that. Like, that is real. Like, that literally was a big part of my life. I loved partying with my friends. I loved going out and having a good time. And then I woke up one day and realized that a lot of the things that I was struggling with, my emotional health, my serious battles with deep depression, my thyroid being all over the place. I would also, y'all, I had a really bad eating disorder for years that my doctor and we've even talked about the fact of like, okay, but like, did you have an eating disorder? Or when you would get really drunk with your friends and you would eat McDonald's in the middle of the night and your body would scream, what am I doing? I don't eat food like this. And the next thing you know, you're making yourself throw up because you feel so sick. Like, you weren't actually coherent enough to really know what you were doing. And so we've examined that. We've looked at that. Like, really, where was this stemming from? Like, was it stemming from one too many margaritas at the local Mexican joint in my small town, and then followed up by midnight McDonald's, like, where was this coming from? So when I realized that drinking was making my emotional health tank, it was making my brain health tank, when I started following all of Dr. Amon's stuff back in probably 2016, 2017, I went to one of his live conferences in Dallas and I saw him speak, and I saw him talk about the fact that it starts with your thyroid and then it goes into diabetes and then it progresses into dementia. And at that time, my grandmother, my mom's mom, who had the thyroid issue, who then got that, I think it's called type 1. I don't know. It's like she was 98 pounds sopping wet with diabetes. I watched her have the thyroid issue, the diabetes, and then the dementia. And then I stood there and I listened to him say, all of this is connected to your brain health. And if you can just get control of your brain health and you can make taking care of your brain one of your top priorities, you do not have to have this happen if this is happening to one of your family members. Y'all, that changed everything for me. That was the day that I assumed this identity of someone who is wildly obsessed with her brain health. Now, the question that she asked me, sitting on the patio, like 10 o'clock at night, way after my bedtime at this retreat, okay, maybe it wasn't 10 o'clock, it was probably like 8:30, honestly, was, have you always been this way around food? Like, where did you get this mindset? Because I'd made the comment many times, I do not eat for enjoyment or community. I eat for energy. I grew up like that. I do not eat for enjoyment or community and connection. I don't. It's not how I was raised. Now I'm going to tell you all, my husband was raised completely the opposite way. I eat for energy. Okay. And I'm not saying that you can't come together and connect and eat food. I love going to my friend Kelly's and having her husband cook for us. And they eat exactly like I like to eat. And Larry's like an incredible cook. And Kelly and I will sit and we'll work on some of her business stuff while Larry's cooking us like this awesome hash or these little like smoky wrap things, these little pigs in a blanket that are, grain free, dairy free, all the toxin crazy freeze. Now, do I love doing that? Well, yeah, that's because we just had Pilates and I'm starving and I'm like, we can sit here and we can work, but my brain is starving and my body's starving. So let's eat Larry's food while we do this. And are we connecting? Yes. Are we growing? Yes. But is the whole entire thing centered around it? No. At the end of the day, like, we are feeding our bodies for energy. And so she said, well, where did you get that? And I said, honestly, it's kind of the craziest thing because my mom was the one who raised me. You eat for energy, not enjoyment. But she also would publicly admit that she personally struggles with emotional eating. Now, I had a therapist nearly a decade ago at this point. I was talking to him. I was like, genuinely, Ken, like, I just don't understand emotional eating. And he teased me. This is the guy that teased me about like my emotions being amputated and not knowing if I was eating them anyways. Now, I will tell you that I have reattached my emotions. And, last week we lost a friend, really close friend at Kobe's work that we see every day, lost him in a tragic way. It was a rough week, lots of emotions. I can securely say that when something deeply emotional happens to me, I actually stop eating altogether. But I do really love shopping. So maybe that's a different challenge I need to navigate. I do like shopping, shopping my emotions. And so as we were talking about this, because I kept saying, I don't eat that, I eat for energy. I don't worry about that, I eat for energy. And she asked me, like, where did that come from? It really, a little bit was 50% was my mom saying that as we were growing up, reminding us, we don't eat for enjoyment, we eat for energy. And then the other half was just how my parents lived. As somebody who grew up on a farm, in Iowa, a small town farm, where my dad's mom, she was like organic and holistic and echinacea and juicing before it was cool. I mean, y'all, we're talking 40 years ago. This woman was going to the Amish store and ordering stuff from little tiny shops in Colorado, getting in specialized ancient grains that she was growing out in her garden that I'm not even kidding. Her garden was bigger than the footprint that our house sits on now in the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona. And so growing up watching there be a lot of care to the food that we were doing, it raised me with just a different identity. Another thing is that growing up Dutch, I think this is where very subliminally I was getting the concept of identities instilled in me in a really young age. So that same grandma, her parents came over on the boat from the Netherlands and I grew up with them. And so we didn't just grow up thinking like, oh yeah, we have some descendants that are Dutch. We grew up literally with this grandpa that when he said my name, he couldn't say Chelsea, he would say Sheltie. And where we live just happens to be a massive settlement of Dutch people. And so there's a lot of conversation constantly around like, what does it mean to be Dutch? And what does it mean? It means like we're frugal, but we love high quality. We're not cheap, y'all. We're frugal. There's a difference. Quality means everything. We're willing to spend a lot of money on something that will last. We're great with money. We make money really well. We work hard. We're incredibly loyal. And this is another random one. Apparently, we're also known as some of the best record keepers, which to me says we are incredible with attention to detail. So growing up around this constant conversation, annual festivals about being Dutch and everything that meant to be Dutch, I think from an early age, I grabbed onto that and I realized that identities dictate my actions. And so from that, I also started to, again, all on my own, look around. And I realized my dad's family, they valued education and appearance. It mattered that you're servant hearted. It mattered that you were an active Christian. And how we showed that was, we went to Christian schools. We went to private Christian colleges. On Sundays, we don't work. We take the whole day. You go to church and you take naps and you have meals with family and you have family connection time. Then on the other side, my mom's family, that family, That is where I adapted the identity of extreme champion DNA. I was the fifth grandchild to be born on that side out of 10. On my dad's side, I was the third of 23. I'm the oldest girl. My mom's side, I am the fifth, but the first girl to be born, the fifth of 10, but the first girl to be born. So if y'all are noticing, I grew up around a lot of cousins. We all live locally, except for a couple of them, and we all had a lot of influence on each other's lives. But my mom's family, did they all go to college? Well, yeah, they did. Did they all work on farms? Did we all have farms? Yep, they did. My dad's family, all entrepreneurs. My mom's family, all entrepreneurs. So obviously, both of them are entrepreneurs. But there was a different level of emphasis where my dad's family, it was about education and appearance, being servant-hearted, being very outward and broadcasting how much you were a Christian and how you were serving. My mom's family, same thing, but hardworking. We are farmers. We serve people, but we serve people silently. Didn't really care about what other people thought of them. Just living their best life. Loving the Lord, but like quietly serving. But also, they were major athletes. So more of the music and the arts on my dad's side, which I was really excellent at, more of the athletes, all-star athletes on my mom's side, where, when people ask me about my mom's family, I say like, oh man, we're champion athletes. Like, praise God that girls wrestling wasn't big back then, because my family, they're all champion wrestlers. I had a couple cousins wrestle at Iowa State. If you don't know what that means, Iowa State is like, one of the top schools in the entire country. They literally shoot out gold medalists. I grew up around people like Dan Gable on a Sunday night. He's a gold medalist wrestler, if you don't know who that is. And so my cousins were being coached under those people and wrestling with gold medal champions in college. And so that instilled in me a different level of work ethic. While my dad's family, extreme work ethic, high integrity. My mom's family, extremely loyal, high integrity, but champions. It's all about winning on that side. So recently I teased Kobe, said, what is it like to come from this 9 to 5 employee family where, education isn't as common in his family. And, you married into this very work hard, play hard, excellence for days, goals and God's calling kind of family where we are champions, we playful out and all that we do. Did you know what you were marrying into? And he immediately, y'all, I just asked him this a couple weeks ago. He said, I had no clue. I said, well, we've been together 16 years. And it only took you about a decade to realize that you didn't have a choice. You had to get on board. And welcome. Because people say who Kobe is today and who he was 15 years ago, not the same person. And the reason for that is we become like those we hang around. And he started identifying as, I've married into this like crazy, intense, wild DeBruin Scott family. And I either got to step it up or, well, one of the identities that I carry is that I'm married for life. So step it up. Like, step it up was his only option, which leads me to a couple identities that I have. One, y'all, I said I was Dutch, right? Frugal, quality, make money well. We work hard. We're loyal. We're excellent record keepers, high attention to detail. I'm an Iowa farm girl. I eat for energy. I know where my food comes from. And regardless of what's happening in my life, the cows have to be fed. And last week when we lost a friend in the most tragic way, it's just, if y'all are having a hard time, like, y'all got to reach out to somebody, I don't know what we're going to do at the school, but, losing this coach in the way that we lost him, I just hope that we can figure out some way to remind people, one, we never know the struggles that somebody else is having, but two, literally never ever are your friends and family too busy to have that conversation with you. And even if you think they are, I promise you they're not. And make sure that you slow down and have that conversation. But even in the midst of all of that happening, we lost a great friend. The kids lost a coach. There was a lot of emotions going on all week. I kept saying to myself, even though I just want to crawl in a hole for 5 days and cry, the cows still need to be fed. Like, I still got to show up for life. And honestly, I'm so grateful that I was raised with that Iowa farm girl mentality that regardless of what's going on in life, My mom always says, like, death or dilation. The cows still need to be fed and you still need to be showing up. And because I did that, I feel like, did I do everything that I should have done that last week? No, I didn't. But I do feel like staying in action helped me grieve at a higher level than just sinking into a lull of sadness. Another one, obviously, I've championed DNA. I identify as a champion for my mom's family. Like, we go big, we play, we go big, we play big, and we win, we win big. Identify as a coach's wife, which means that, identifying as a coach's wife for me means at the end of the day, what is best for the team, right? And that sometimes what is best for the team isn't always what I want to do. Sometimes the things that we have to do, like having, looking ahead and looking at the schedule and going, man, we're going to play a really tough team on Monday. But the team on Wednesday, we should beat them, no problem. But the game on Monday, it could not go well. So as the coach's wife and as someone with champion DNA in my blood, and in our marriage, we value winning. We value winning high. It's a high core value for us. The best thing that can happen on that Tuesday night is a team dinner and having 25 teenage boys over to our house, and that's where I make these decisions, that I do things that maybe I don't want to do them. Like I was going to be gone every single night that week. No, I did not want to have 25 teenagers over to my house and make dinner for all of them. But I identify as a champion. In our marriage, we identify with the core value of winning. And I identify as a coach's wife, which means I did something that I didn't necessarily want to do. Real quick, before we dive back in, I want to share something I created for the women who are growing, but still kind of feel like they're doing it alone. If that statement just hit, then this is for you. I've never felt so aligned and so alone. It's the message I kept hearing as more and more women were falling in love with their life doing what they were born to do. They were craving that like-minded, iron-sharpening iron relationship with other women who were as focused, powerful, and determined to be positive as they were. And that is why I created the Growth Collective. It's our All Things Excellence book club community where you don't have to read the book because audio and PDF Cliff Notes are provided for you. There's a community for you to connect and network with other growth-minded women, plus 2 monthly Zooms where you receive connection and live coaching from me. Head on over to chelseadbc.com/book club to join us. All right, let's get back into it, because what you're hearing today is exactly why spaces like the Growth Collective exist. We were never meant to grow alone. I also identify as having more energy than most people. Now, because of that, I place a high value on sleep, what my diet, right? Eating for that energy, and hydration. I know that having more energy than most people also means that I'm not putting a lot of foreign things into my body, like medication is what I'm talking about, because I know that long term that can really pull down how my body's functioning. And so when I think, oh, I've got a headache, I don't immediately go, oh my gosh, I need to take ibuprofen. I think, how much water have I had today? How much sunshine have I had today? How much movement have I had today? Because in order to have more energy than most people, I've got to go to that answer first. Things like, am I tired? Am I hydrated? Am I hungry? As opposed to, let me go to the medicine cabinet and pop an ibuprofen. I identify as an auntie, right? I've got 4 littles and 2 kids that I was their nanny, I was their yaya. And so because of that, there are hard decisions that I make around that. Like in my job, I've got a contract that I've got to do this bridal fair. There's 2 of them a year, actually. And one of them happens to fall on my girl Lizzie's graduation party. Well, regardless, somebody's got to be there. Regardless, I've got to pay thousands of dollars. But because I identify as that auntie and that yaya, I've got to figure out how can I make that happen, because Lizzie is more important than new leads, right? So figuring that out, making hard decisions. I said earlier, I identify as being someone who will be married for life. So I don't say stuff that I can't take back, even when I'm so mad. Sometimes I'll look at Kobe and go, woo, you are so lucky that I believe marriage is for life and that I want to be married to you for the rest of my life, because I got some stuff to say right now, but I'm not going to say it, because once I've said it, I can't take it back. So even that identity of I am married for life, like when I chose to get married to you, I chose that we were figure-outable and that we would be together forever, right? And, that also sets us up for we have this rule that we do not put ourselves in rooms, vehicles, any of that stuff with somebody of the opposite sex. Like if nobody of the opposite sex enters my house, unless it's like my uncle or like our brothers or something, you know, or my dad. Like that's about it. That's literally it. We do not put ourselves in situations with people of the opposite sex where someone isn't around because we would never ever want something to possibly happen, be said that was happening. And that's because we identify as being married for life. And so we don't say stuff we can't take back. We decide that everything is figure outable. And we have that rule about not allowing people of the opposite sex to be alone in rooms with us. It's just something we started from day one. So 4 steps that I want you to think about. If you're thinking like, oh my gosh, maybe it's your health, maybe it's your business. Something else that I'm working on identifying on is I'm working on creating this identity as someone who creates a $500,000 profit a year with this business. And so what does a $500,000 a year profit CEO do with her business? How does she work? And so one of those things is that between the hours of 9 and 3, I'm only doing my work. I don't let other people impede on those hours, Monday through Thursday, between the hours of 9 and 3, because that's an identity that I'm currently working on absorbing. And so if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got some things that I want to be different. Step 1 out of 4 steps. 1, decide, what do you want to be different? Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your marriage, whatever it is. Decide, what do you want to be different? Okay. 2, decide, who do you need to be in order to have those results? Now, y'all have heard the story before. Back when I was 23 years old, my parents rehired my therapist to help me make better choices about my future husband. The guy I dated through college, incredible guy, still a really, really great friend of mine. If you've listened to the therapy issue, you've heard all about Brad. We love Brad. But they just wanted me to make sure, like after that, I spiraled with dating, and they were like, we gotta wrap this up. But the greatest thing this therapist did was she had me make a love list. She had me write 100 things that I wanted in a spouse. Not a guy, not a boyfriend, but a spouse, a partner, right? This partner for life, this husband. And I said, 100 things? What? She goes, yeah, I want you to write 100 things. So you got to get really silly, guys. I'm saying like, never wears tall socks and like boxers over brief. Like I was getting really crazy at one point. It's 100 things. And so then I brought that 100 things love list back to her that I worked on for a few weeks. And then she said, okay, I want you to go through. I want you to highlight the top 10. Like these are 10, like, gotta happen no matter what. And she said, if somebody hits 80 out of the 100, but they only hit 2 out of the 10, it's a no-go. Okay? Those top 10 are just your non-negotiable ones. But then what we did after that was, this is everything that you want to attract in a spouse, in a life partner, in a husband. Now, who do you need to be to attract that person into your life? So I think we think, oh, what do I want to be different? I want to be super fit. I want to be $1 million CEO. I want to be whatever those things are that you've made this decision that you want to be, things in your life that you want different. But then it's, well, who do I need to be in order to have those results, right? What is my character? What are my actions? So you're listing all of those things out. So again, example, you want 6-pack abs. I mean, go you. That is not my goal. I have had abs. That is not my current life goal. I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be someday. But let's say you're like, one of the things that I want to be different is my health. I want to go from overweight and exhausted to fit and energized. Well, who do you need to be in order to have those results? Well, 1, I need to be somebody that I eat for energy. And I would say not just enjoyment. Okay? You eat for energy, not just enjoyment. Because if you're one of those people, I get that I'm a little Lone Ranger on that. There's a lot of people that they really enjoy that. They enjoy having a great drink with their friend. They enjoy going out to lunch with a friend. So maybe eating for energy, not just enjoyment, would be a better phrase for you. You need to be somebody that, I'm not saying loves working out. I'm saying values working out. Because there's a difference. Does my husband love working out? He does not. But does he work out every day? He does. Because why? He values working out. Now, real talk, his definitely stems from a place of vanity. I don't really care where it stems from. It's not about where does it stem from, right? So for me, as an Enneagram 8, the challenger who lives for the sake of empowering people to live their best life, I'm like, I gotta take care of my body so I can go for days on days and be there for the people of the world. My husband, who's an Enneagram 9, which in security and Enneagram 9, they go to 3. So they care about appearance. For him, he lives by the look good, feel good. He wakes up every single day. First thing he does, like 4:20 in the morning, y'all, his alarm goes off. He wakes up and he showers and he gets fully ready, hair washed, product in hair, and he works out because his belief is you look good, you feel good. Appearance matters so much to him that he literally wakes up and showers and gets ready to be able to work out. And he works out so that way he looks good in his clothes. Again, I don't really care what the motivation is. I just care about the results. The third thing that you want to do, you want to identify small steps that you can habit stack. So once you decided what you want to be different, you need to know, like, who do I need to be in order to have those results? What are things that I need to start doing? Identify small steps that you can habit stack. So example, very long story, doesn't matter. Regardless, I'd gotten to this point where the only workouts that I was doing was Pilates on Wednesday and Friday. And I would go to Pilates. And it just obviously wasn't enough. I hit 40. 30, you can't just eat a bag of Doritos and keep abs. You got to work out. Well, 40, you just, geez, I don't even know, man. Like, you got to eat perfect and work out 5 days a week and strength train and take your creatine and your collagen. You got to do all the frickin' things just to have like a solid bare minimum. And so obviously I realized this, and I value my brain health and I value my physical health, and it's very important to me that I'm strong because I always want to be able to help anybody at any time, and I never want to be limited by my physical strength saying, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't run across the track and race the soccer boys or crawl on the floor with my niece and nephews or whatever. I would never want to identify, or I would never want those results because I identify as somebody who's more energy than most people and very, very strong. And so I obviously had to figure out, like, okay, well, how am I going to add these workouts into my life? And I realized that the only place that there was room for them was before my quiet time. So I was doing my quiet time every single day at 7. It's very important to me, go out, have my devotions, my journaling, write out my gratitude, read a chapter or two every day of a book. And I realized the only place I could fit is before that, which meant I had to wake up at 6 o'clock every single day because you got to wake up and you got to wake up. And that meant also that I needed an alarm. Well, I hate being woken up abruptly by an alarm. So I figured out how to put an Alexa in my bathroom, and I wake up to the sound of like quiet crickets every day. It's all she had for me. It's all Alexa could give me. And I was like, fine, I'll take it. And so I habit stacked that workout prior to my morning time. Okay. Well, another thing that I had to add on was taking care of my brain health even more with supplements. And so I started taking the Symbiotica creatine packet. For me, it's got to be easy. I tried to take creatine with my protein powder drink, and that just wasn't working for me. So I realized, like, I had to find a creatine that was just a quick shoot it in my mouth and be done with it. Not like a mix it, drink it, anything type of that, which is why I went with the Symbiotica one. And so I knew that I could roll out of bed, put on my workout clothes that I sat out the night before to make it easier. And I could pop that creatine pack, walk straight into our gym in our house, which again, we set it up in our house, so we can't even make an excuse about that. And I get my workout done, and then I'm doing my quiet time. But during my quiet time, another thing is my coffee. Yes, I drink organic, mold-free coffee, whatever. I know people are still hating on coffee and saying I need to switch to mushroom coffee. We'll get there someday. We're not there yet. I love the smell. It wakes me up, makes me happy of fresh ground beans every morning. But I put collagen in my coffee. And I put the MCT oil, the layered stuff in my coffee, because that's another way that I could habit stack prioritizing my brain health and giving my body the right supplements to help my brain with the creatine and the layered. And then, of course, the collagen. We all know what collagen is for. So thinking, where can we habit stack these things in our day that help you move into that identity that you're trying to absorb? And then the fourth thing is you need to either hire accountability or you need to partner with a friend, because you just got to realize you just can't do it alone. I have more willpower than 99.999% people on this planet. And I can tell you, even I have to hire accountability and partner with a friend, or publicly post it all over my social media, which I'm lucky that I have a really great interactive following and they love being there with me and cheering me on and being accountable to me, which is why I love social media. I love that we have that community that we've created on social media where we can post that we're working out every day and we're trying to work out for 30 days in a row. And so that was something that I did was, I created a chart, I was tracking it, and I started posting it on social media. And another identity that I have is that I am a woman of my word and I finish everything that I start that I need to. That's important because sometimes I think we don't need to finish everything because we get into it and realize like this was legitimately a dumb thing. I shouldn't be doing this. And so because I'm a woman of my word and I explained why I needed to work out 30 days in a row. Now I just work out Monday through Friday because I hit those 30 days. Sharing that with my community, it made me show up every single day, right? But I also hired accountability. I have a coach, right? I partnered with my friends. My friends knew that I was doing this. And so those are the 4 steps that I really, really, really recommend for you to do is 1, decide what do you want to be different? What identity, maybe you have an identity that you need to adapt, but also maybe you have an identity that you need to release, right? What is something that you're continuously saying and claiming that's a piece of you that you need to release, right? Second, what do you need to be? Who do you need to be in order to have those results? 3, identify small steps you can habit stack. And then 4, hire accountability or partner with a friend. And I'm just here to say, y'all know this. Y'all know my biggest life obsession is helping people have a holistic, with a W, holistic life view with their goals and their dreams in life. And so if you're looking for somebody to have a little bit of accountability on this topic, help you figure out what are the identities that you need to pick up, what are the identities that you really just need to hang your hat on and go hard on, or what are the identities that maybe you need to start releasing? What are those? If you need somebody to help you do that and help you habit stack and build some new habits so that way you can step into that new identity, I am always here. Head over to chelseadbc.com, go to work with me, and you can apply to be in the leadership container. Another great place to start is just in the book club. This is stuff that we talk about in the book club. This is stuff we talk about on our retreats. I'd love to have you in the book club. It's our leadership business book club where we read leadership and business growth books with iron sharpening iron women who are just each other's biggest raving fans. So I would love to have you in those spaces. Love to have you join us. Hope you took away some tips today. Run over to Instagram. Make sure you tell me what is an identity you're picking up and what is an identity you are laying down. I would love to hear from you. And again, thank you always for listening. And we will catch y'all next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.